Oh, yo, bro, thanks for coming on, man. And we got the homie
What's
Darren.
up? How's it going, man?
What's up, bro? Yo, super happy to have you, man. We've
Good
been
to be
planning
here.
this one for a little bit, and I figured, like it's crazy the amount of people that want to talk about starting a YouTube channel. Like it's right there, right? Because chances are, if you have a kayak, you have at least a GoPro. Like, and that's always how it generally starts.
Right?
So there's just more and more interest in kind of getting this thing going on YouTube,
No, yeah, it's a wild ride. Content creation is crazy.
bro.
A lot of fun. It's kind of like fishing, to be honest with you. It's just for like attention, right?
Yeah.
And eyeballs and visibility, and so and it changes all the time. So you really have to be a constant learner in order to stay on top of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. All about the algorithm. And we were chatting a little bit before the show started. Kind of like when I got started, I didn't know there was any type of like strategy to YouTube. Just started posting, which I guess is a good thing, because if I knew that there was so much strategy, I probably would have not
Right?
jumped in.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own show as well, and one of the questions I always ask is, "How did you get into the YouTube deal?" And I would say 95% of the time, the responses are, "I stumbled into it somehow, some form, some fashion." It wasn't ever, "I want to be an influencer, content creator," whatever you want to call it. I hate the word influencer, but they've always stumbled into it from something. It was never meant to be something they do all the time. It was just maybe a place
Hmm.
to host their videos, or something they did with their kids, or something for family videos. And
Yeah.
then a lot of times I hear the story is like, I posted videos like years ago, and then I logged back into my YouTube, and I had like 5,000 subscribers somehow. And so why not continue to move forward with that? So it's been crazy to hear individual stories for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's got theirs. And I know Juan's just getting started in his YouTube journey.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Nice.
more on the Instagram side, right?
Well, I kind of had Instagram first, and I kind of just went for it. I said, "What am I waiting on?" I think a lot of times that's kind of people kind of hold back for whatever reason, and you have to learn. Everything's a learning curve, right? In some sort of aspect. So I said, "All right, let me just go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen?" Uh, and so yeah,
Yeah.
it's that. So yeah, I think I'm over 300,000 views now on YouTube, mostly short views. All of them pretty much are short views, but doing my best to transition into some long form videos, and just trying to figure out my angle and what's going to work best for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Word. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about shorts and long form later, because that's a battle in and of itself. I hate shorts, man. I do. Not a fan.
Really?
I hate doing them, man. I don't know what it is. I just don't like doing, like, I'll do them here and there, but I just don't like doing shorts. I like to do long form video.
Hey, you know what? Well, we'll get into that conversation too. I mean, do what you like, type of thing, right? Or
No,
you'll crash and burn fast. So
for sure,
yeah,
man. For sure. So on the off chance that folks here haven't heard about you, or at least how you started on this YouTube journey, can you share with us when, and most importantly, why you got started on YouTube?
I don't share the story very often, so many may not hear it. I've shared it a couple times, but I think it's deep in the library somewhere. Sometimes it gets lost. But
Mm,
it was about a little over 3 years ago. My father-in-law passed in the home that we were living. I was out of work for about 10 months, and he was 60 years old, died of a heart attack. And I started really thinking to myself, that was a tough time. And I started thinking to myself, I love fishing, and my girls, I want to teach them, but I might not be around, right? I was having this existential moment in my life. Um, I might not be around to teach them when they want to learn. I would say they want to learn, and I'm just not here anymore. So I was like, you know what? I'll just throw some of these videos up on YouTube and see what happens. And then I started getting into it, right? All was kind of fun. And of course, I was out of work, so I needed something to do with my hands. And so I started creating these videos. And then in order to create videos, you need to have cameras, keep in mind. Then you got to have, editing software, and then you got to have this and you have that. And before you know it, gets expensive really fast. And so my wife and I started getting into some conversations about how much money I was spending on fishing. So I was like, all right, now I know what I need to do. I need to monetize, right? I'm sure we'll talk about that in a bit. And so the next goal was if I can just make enough money to offset the cost of my fishing addiction, that won't be an issue anymore. And then got to that point, and then from there I just continued to like, well, then you start doing the math. Okay, maybe in 4 to 5 years I can go full time. And then I'm in like drive mode. And when I get into drive mode, I mean, there's nothing in my way. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do something. And so then you start to get into the strategy, and then you start getting into the learning, and then you start to upgrade your audio and upgrade your video and upgrade your ideas and starting to get into a rhythm. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there. I mean, my first year, it took me a year to get 1,000 subscribers, which in my opinion is a vanity metric nowadays anyways. And then the following year, I really took a focusing on the community, right? I didn't need it to make necessarily money for me. That's not the goal, and it's still not the goal today. And when I started focusing on the community, I feel like it just took off. So we can delve into that a little bit, but to answer your question, that's how I got started.
Cool.
Oh, you're muted, bro. I hear your lips moving, but I don't
Oh, my
hear you.
bad. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Myself. So a little bit of just starting for a legacy thing for your daughters, and then monetizing your fishing.
Yeah, just pay for it, right? Why not?
Yeah, it makes sense, bro. I mean, it's not cheap.
No, it's not. I just did my taxes on the business, which is great. Everything becomes a write-off at that point, but still, I think my expenses this year were $7,000. I think $7,000 or $8,000. Yeah, it's not a cheap hobby or cheap sport, but I definitely made more than that. But yeah, it's interesting. Now I'm thinking like into the future. I was like, okay, it's titled Wendellfishing. I'm like, maybe my girls want to take. I'm like, YouTube hasn't been around long enough for like generational transfer of channels, but it's my hope someday that either my oldest Mercy, who's 8, or my youngest River will be my co-host on my podcast. And then over time, as I start to phase out of my time on YouTube because I'm starting to get old, that they would take it over, right? That's my hope. Cool. That's my dream. So I would love to see Wendellfishing go generational. Yeah. So I just want to give my kids options. So that's why I kind of titled it Wendellfishing as well.
No, that's dope, man. I've never considered that, like kind of like passing it on, like people pass off a business to their children. But yeah, I mean, why not? You know,
every kid right now wants to be like a content creator or influencer, but it'll be so incredibly saturated and hard to do. But I'm going to be able to give my kid a step up and an advantage because their dad spent all the time getting it to this point if they want to do fishing. But my wife has a channel as well. She's monetized, Wendell Woodworks. So just more options for my kids also keeps me going.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. That's dope, man. So talking about all that stuff you were buying. So when you got started with the channel, did you already have your equipment? So you already had your cameras and all that?
Got nothing.
No.
I started from ground zero. No, I have no history in this. So I got a GoPro 7 Black. That was my first I still have that. That's my secondary camera up over my shoulder.
Okay.
And then my audio, you buy the cheap Yeti, and I used that for a while, and then upgraded to this and make my audio sound better for my podcast. Use small upgrades. You can get carried away with that stuff. Buying cameras you really don't need. I mean, I'm looking at my Brio right now for my podcast. This was like $175 webcam that you're looking at. Most people wouldn't be able to tell it from a lot of those few $1,000 cameras. Now, if you like to geek out on that, go to town. But I'm just saying you can do this fairly cheap to get started. And that's, of course, what I would recommend anyways. Most people crash and burn early. So,
yeah, for sure. I'd say the one thing that holds people back from growing a YouTube channel is probably just not sticking with it long enough.
Oh, especially
it can
now.
Get heavy.
Yeah. I mean, you can spend what happens. Well, here's the thing about fishing. Like editing a fishing video is tough, right? Because you're out in the water for 8 hours. And there's some ways, of course, you can mark all these things, but I end up just to edit so much footage. You get so little amount. And it just takes an incredible amount of time to do that well. And so it's harder. Yeah. And so when you do all that work and you spend, especially at the beginning, when you spend 7 hours on a video to get 20 views, dude, that's a punch in the gut. And you do it again next week for 25 views, it's another punch in the gut. And after like 6 months of this, you're like, wait a second, is this worth it?
Yeah, but those first couple like 25 views though, when I first started, I'd be checking my video like every hour, and I'd be like, oh snap, I went from 16 to 17 views. I got 19 views, and you're like, bro, people want to watch me. That's wild.
Yeah. What I always have to do, I have to remember this, because then you start getting like greedy. You have like 50 views, and you'll be like, I only got 50 views, but you got to think of it in this way. Imagine you had 50 people in a room listening to what you had to say. 50 people in a room, you'd walk out of that and be like, whoa, that was a great turnout.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then, you know, and so it's you got to think of it in terms of like how many people are listening to you and put them in a room. And so now I was like, when I do a video, I'll be happy. Like my goal is at least get 1,000 views on it. Imagine 1,000 people in a room listening to what you got to say about fishing. I mean, I hope it's helpful, and I guess it is, or they wouldn't continue to show up. But that's how I have to visualize it in order to keep my head in the game.
Yeah,
I look at it like that too, because I just broke the cusp of 500 subscribers, which was cool. So you know, just these little milestones. And I know the first videos, a couple of them, they're gonna bomb, and it is what it is. But it is about that consistency, and yeah. Just got to stick it out. So I'm going through that growing pain right now, as you call it. So
yeah, you're in the tough spot right now. But there is some juicy stuff on the other side of that if you stick with it. And I'm talking like year 2, year 3. Most people are like, nope, don't got time for that 2-year, 3-year stuff. Didn't used to be that long, but it's the beauty of YouTube. And that's what I love about it, Jay. And one. You can be like, okay, if I dedicate right now, if you're gonna start day one, if you don't have a channel, if you're listening to this, you're like, hey, I'm thinking about a channel, I haven't started it. And you're like, hey, and if you give it 10 years, I believe you can go full time. Just kind of doing it on the side, kind of staying consistent with it. You could probably do it in less. Actually, many people could. But in 10 years, like, hey, you can be a full-time content creating fishing every day if you do the hustle, do the work, and do it for 5 to 10 years. It's exciting to think about. And that's one of the things I love about being a content creator is years ago, the only time that you would sit there and watch all these professional bass anglers on TV and they're like, oh, they're doing this full time. Like that's the freaking dream, right? I wish I could do that, but I just, wasn't in the family that got me into it, or I didn't get involved, blah, blah, blah. It's never going to be for me. That changed with YouTube.
Yeah, it's tangible now.
It's tangible for you. It's tangible for me. And that's what I get so jacked about is that I could be a full-time angler because of YouTube and being a content creator. And that just jacks me up. And I'm on my way. That's my goal.
Yeah. I think it's true though. And it is all based on consistency. And you see that across the board, regardless of whatever it is. If it's you have somebody from your town that's been baking or making shirts or doing what have you, you can see that, as long as they stick with it and they stay with it long enough, people see it and they respect it. Over time, they respect it. At first, it might be like, that's a little different or whatever the case may be. But over time, as long as you stay consistent enough and try to put yourself out there, it's all going to work in your favor. You know what I mean? Then you'll start popping up here and there, and believe it or not, people do start recognizing you. And so, yeah, you see it in the dashboard analytics.
Oh yeah. It's addicting, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is.
I look at this thing like every hour of the day. It's fun. I have fun with it, but it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I try not to, but I still do.
Yeah.
So I try not to get all caught up because you can only have so many videos that are 1 in 10. You know what I mean? Like 1 of 10 or whatever for your upload. So it gets in your head. But if you dig the right way and you look at the analytics, and that's kind of where the gold nuggets are.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't have a YouTube channel, what he's talking about is every time you post a video, it'll tell you how it's performing against your last 10 videos. And so when he says a 1 out of 10, it means it's performing better than the last 10, or if you get a 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. So that's kind of addicting as well.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out, like watching that back, like trying to figure out, was there something in particular that I did that allowed this to spike or what have you? And yeah, trying not to get caught up in that thing, but at the same time trying to potentially recognize it.
Yeah, there's something to learn there, or maybe there's not, and maybe just your topic, it's just not a highly searched topic, and it's actually a banger video. It's just performing less because there's less, the demand for it.
Yeah, and that'll happen too, right? Like something will come. Like I've had old things come back to me. Like recently, there's something that I posted a while back, and out of nowhere, it just caught fire.
Yeah, I have one right now. I posted like a year ago, and it's like it went from 40,000 to over 100,000 in a matter of like a month. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Welcome YouTube. Yeah, that's why I love it. It's a library.
Yeah, man. And it's you just never know when it's gonna hit. It could be the season, it could be the algorithm change, it could be 5 people started watching it and then it just blew from there. I mean, I had one video I posted, it's probably like a year and a half at this point. For the first 6 months, I think I got maybe like 600 or 700 views. And then it just took off like a rocket ship, and I have probably close to 60 or 70 on it now, 1,000. So and it's one of my better performing long form videos now.
You never know. You just got to post and go. Post and go. Post and go.
I think that's a testament to don't get butthurt about those views. Don't read into them too much and keep that stuff up there, because you never know what's going to happen with the algorithm or what's going to happen there. And not for nothing, people respect the history and the work.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Because they look back at that, and they'll go back and see, and they'll say, oh, you know what? Let me see what this looked like for the sake of comparison.
Yeah,
see growth.
You know what I see all the time that drives me crazy, Juan, is people will get on like, oh, my first videos are awful. I took them down off YouTube. You never see them. I was like, you'll see mine up there until the end of eternity. I'm proud of my first ones because every single one made me better, right? Yep. And so you're going to see my first video ever made. I'm never going to take it down because I absolutely freaking love it. That's the starting point. Someone's got to start somewhere. Don't be ashamed of it.
I do have a few I should republish in that case, but
bring them on. It's a story.
Yeah. No, absolutely, it is. It truly is.
Yeah.
So.
And it's also as us being creators, I enjoy going to other people's YouTube channels that like Think Media or whoever that might have a couple 100,000 subscribers, and I'll go to their videos and I'll put oldest videos first. And you see their growth you see the growth in your own videos. And something like that, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun. Speaking of, so Juan said something important, which was consistency. And I think that's just the number one thing. Like if you have I know it's the number one thing. If you have a channel, whether it's you doing social media, Instagram, Facebook, or you're focusing on something like TikTok or YouTube, you just got to be consistent and just do it. If it's gonna, if you feel burnt out, if you feel like people ain't watching, like that's where if you're able to push through that struggle, that's where you start reaching kind of like those milestones.
I think especially because I think that the discipline aspect is very important, because it's not easy. There's not times that I want to create this content or do things, not because I don't have the heart for it or I have no desire to do it. I don't do this for a living. I don't get money from this, right? I'm not at that level yet. So for me, somebody who's aspiring to do that, I still have to juggle the family, the job, and still try to get in where I fit in, right? And so there's going to be times where I'm not going to want to do what it takes to remain relevant or stay consistent, right? But it's incumbent upon me to do that if that's what I really want. You know what I'm saying? The same way it would be for that kid or whomever who's, let's say they want to be a professional basketball player, baseball player. It's incumbent upon them to practice and get where they have, even when they don't want to, right? So, yeah. And that's the tough part, man. It's like going to the gym or anything else, right? So,
like any other habit. That's a perfect way to put it. Yeah, so if you guys watch and have specific questions about YouTube, either for myself or Juan or Darren or the group or whatever. Make sure you guys post them. So I have questions here, but I want to make sure we get to you guys if you do have specific questions. So my next question for Darren is, what's your favorite thing about being a YouTube creator?
Three things. One's the community, right? The friends that I've made. Jay, you and I, we were fishing in Gunnersville like last year. There's a lot of people actually on the comments right now that I speak to almost every day. Right, I have friendships. Like I went down to the Columbus Expo and took two of the guys who went with me are literally sitting in the comment section. So I've developed some pretty significant friendships. I only have like two really close friends here in Ohio, like really close friends. But all my other friends are like all within the kayak fishing community. And so that's the reason I started my podcast. I didn't do it for extra views. I didn't do it for this, didn't do it for that. I just wanted to get to know people within the kayak fishing community. And so now I'm friends with all the people that I used to watch their videos. And so that's a lot of fun for me. Number two, I mean, I shared the second reason, which is back in the day, only professional anglers could do this full time. YouTube's given me the ability to do what I love. And now it's actually provided an opportunity to provide for my family, which is kind of fun. It's becoming that significant financially, which is awesome. But my favorite thing about being a YouTube creator is that it's significantly made me a better angler. Because if you if you post a YouTube video on fishing and you don't know what you're talking about, everybody's going to let you know about it, right? And so it really involves, and I've been fishing since I was like 8 years old. So I had this general idea of this lure and this type of fishing, but you can't just throw that out there, right? You gotta bring in this. You got to do a ton of research, sometimes hours, if not days or weeks of research to kind of compile all of your thoughts and to kind of put your flavor on it, and then do the video. And because of that process, I have really elevated my game, especially over the last 3 years, to the point where, okay, I'm competing now, right? I'm feel pretty confident if there's fish in that lake, I'm going to catch them. And if there's 20 or 30 kayak anglers down there, I'm going to be in, I'll be in the upper 50%, 20%. And so it's brought a lot of confidence and really is honed the craft of angling. So that's what I love most about it. And that's why I tell people, hey, even if you don't want to, I don't want to be a content, I don't want to be full-time, literally just the process of making a video is going to really force you to stop and put in what I feel is super underutilized, put in the research time. There's a lot of people, if you don't do the research, right? If you just go out there, like I asked the question on my YouTube community. It was a poll. How many of you listen to podcasts? And some people are like, never, I'd rather be fishing. I was like, well, in there room for both, right? Couldn't you learn something new on a podcast and then go try it out in fishing? Or do you just think you know it all and you're just going to go fishing every single time? If that's what you want to do, then go do it. But I'm saying there's a process and there's a learning process that if you totally skipped, you are just not doing yourselves any favors if you want to grow.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right about that. And that's something like that. I two things I want to agree with. One is that I know for me, for one, I've definitely become a better angler. I've seen myself go from not catching anything into really just figuring out certain things and catching fish in certain conditions that I'm so surprised about. And I'm just thankful that's just due to a little bit of that grind that you're referring to. Watching a little bit of anything that I can to kind of soak up whatever it takes, so I can stay relevant, so I can stay on top, so I can stay ahead. It's funny, and the second one that I agree with is that if you don't know what you're talking about, people gonna let you know. And it's funny, if you go on my shorts, I consistently see around here. So it's just me, tomato, whatever, potato, I don't know. So to me, a pike and a muskie, it's pretty much the same thing. But I know that they're not. I know that they're absolutely not. But That's only because in our particular area we have a lot of chain pickerel, so it's highly likely you'll catch a chain pickerel over a pike or a muskie.
Mm.
And if you catch anything, it's probably going to be a pike. It's probably never going to be a muskie. And so I've just gotten used to just calling it all that, and I'll kind of get excited in my little postings and getting stuff together for YouTube or whatever the case is, and I'll go ahead and I'll misgender the fish.
Misgender the fish.
Yo,
Don't you dare.
when I tell you they be coming for me crazy. And
Oh.
the beauty of it is though, y'all have to decide how y'all gonna react to that.
Mm.
And you could be butthurt about it and try to act like or you could just be real about it and say, hey, like I do, I try to be real about it. I'm like, hey, it happens. There was one time I did it on purpose, just to kind of get people riled up. But yeah, it is what it is, man. People gonna let you.
That's also a good strategy, by the way. Just riling people up.
It is.
It is.
Get people mad, man, because they'll drop comments.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
sure.
information tells, emotion sells, man. If you get
That's right.
people all riled up, you have a train of 100 comments that's just wild.
Yep. Yeah, because unfortunately, I hate to say it, but the negativity sells, man. People will point out a mistake you make way more than they'll point out anything good you do. So you could potentially use that for your advantage, man. Like, it's easier for a wise man to act like a fool.
Mm.
So you could,
Oh, there's one thing I forgot to tell you, Jay. This is the last one. And mainstream kind of brought it up. Whenever you're editing your video, like I'll catch a fish. I'll be like, oh, I know how I caught that fish. I threw out this lure and I was retrieving it this way, and then it hit. Then I go watch the video of me catching that fish. That's not what happened, right? I actually looked at my phone and it dead sticked for 5 seconds. And then when I picked it up, then I started retrieving it, and then it hit. I was like, oh, I just learned something new, right? When I'm fishing that particular lure, maybe I need to, quote unquote, check my phone, right? Let that thing fall mid whatever it is, see if that entices a bite. So that's another thing I do all the time. So, oh, what I thought happened didn't actually happen.
That's true.
Yeah, you like pick up on something new from watching the videos.
Yeah,
that's true.
You get such a muscle memory, and since you've taught it before on the channel, you're like, oh, this is how I always do it. So that must have been how I did it. And yeah.
Word. All right, we got a couple questions here, so we're gonna start with some of the earlier ones.
All right.
So I think got like 7 or 8, man. So Matt Collins Fishing, he says, when was your biggest breakthrough in growth, and what do you contribute it to?
Is that for me?
Yes. Well, you go first.
All right. I know the moment. It's a moment where I decided to make YouTube my part-time job. That was it.
Okay.
And it was just a giant, messy. I kicked it off by doing 3 shorts a day for 30 days. And I think I got 1 million views in that part. And so I learned shorts really, really fast. Some of those took off. Some of them got over 1 million views. And then really just like I started creating goals for myself. When I get to 1,000 subs, I had a goal. When I get to 10,000 subs, I'm going to start my podcast. And then when I get to 20,000 subs, I'm going to create a monthly partner program. When I get to 30,000 subs, I'm going to create a merch line. When I get to 35,000, I'm going to create a Kayak Fishing Freaks Facebook page. And so I kept having these goals, and I treat it like a business. And when I started treating it like a business, it took off. I could show you my stats. They're freaking wild. Before that, hit or miss. I might have one take off, I might not. It was I might lapse for a week and a half. But now, every single day, 1 short a day, 1 podcast a week, 1 video a week, and a daily community post. And I just stay consistent with it. And so that's when my growth took off, and the financially, with views, subscribers, all the metrics through the roof when I looked at YouTube in that way.
Okay. That's dope. I did notice that you do post 1 community post a week, and it's crazy the amount of people that you like that will interact with that post, man, because YouTube's not really known for the community posts necessarily, but the fans, the super fans are on there, and you got some crazy reach on your posts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a poll, and I do 1 a day. I'll do a poll, and sometimes it'll get up to 3,000 votes.
Wow.
Which is like, whoa, that's significant. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And so this is kind of a good segue. Mainstream fishing says shorts is where it's at for growth.
Let
So
me
I
ask.
have
Can I?
mixed reviews on that. My bad. You
Yeah,
got something to say, Juan?
I got no, not something to say. I got something to ask about it
Okay,
because
go
I
ask.
wanted to know, Wendell, did you start specifically with shorts and reels or whatnot, and then go into long form, or was that like more together, cohesive?
No,
Did you
I
want to?
started YouTube when there wasn't shorts. Right, I remember right when it first started on when they brought shorts to the table, and then just started doing. I should have done them a whole lot more because they were sending them through the roof as far as reach is concerned. I
Yeah,
did them enough to get the juice out of them for sure. And
Mhm.
I don't. The problem is you don't want your channel to be 100% shorts either, because when you throw a longer video on there, you got everyone who's accustomed to just consuming content for 15 seconds. And when they say 8-minute video, then it's going to signal, they're going to look at it for a second and signal to YouTube after they bounce off that, hey, this video sucks, and it doesn't. And so I try, that's why I have a multi-channel approach. Like I just use all of the things. I have the podcast that YouTube wants you to do. I do the community posts that YouTube wants you to do. I do the long form video, short form video. I do it all so it grows organically, like on all levels, not just heavy in just one. And so
Okay.
that's kind of how it makes sense to me. I know other people do it in different ways, but so far it's been working.
so you have
Yeah.
more than one channel.
No, I have one channel. I just utilize all of the tools on that one channel.
So was it always like one upload a week for your long form scenario?
No, it's sometimes, I mean, that's what I do now. It's evolved into that because everyone's like, you do what? I can never do that. But I in such a rhythm right now, I can pop off a short. I can make 30 shorts in an hour, right? If I wanted to.
Yeah,
I can make what took me an hour to make a long form video will take me an hour and a half. What used to take me 8 hours, take me an hour and a half now.
yeah,
And so I've dialed in my processes and how long it takes me to do this. So I do it very quickly now that you've been doing it for 3 years. But yeah, I'm to the point where I found the rhythm that works with my lifestyle and my
for you.
small family. Yeah, for me.
Now, when you so originally like so when you were like sorting your thing out for you, what works for you, right? So you got one community a week, one video a week, one short a day, and one podcast every week.
Yeah.
Cool. So boom, that's what's worked for you. When you up until that point, how many like what was your max? Like what was your in sorting that out and trying to figure that out? How many long form or bigger videos were you making a week or a month or what have you?
Yeah, it changed. Sometimes it was 2 long form a week and maybe a couple shorts, and then it wasn't no podcast at all. And so it got to the point where in my mind, I thought to myself, I'm going to out hustle every other kayak angler out there. That's why I'm doing so much. I'm doing 2, actually this past week I did 2 or 3 shorts a day. Right? We're going
Mm.
into the fishing season. It's a
Yeah,
lot getting a lot more.
yeah,
Um, sometimes I do 2 long form videos. Now we're going to fishing season. Like those rules might change because I'm just gonna keep posting and posting and posting. I
okay,
mean, and be honest with you, I feel like it's a hustle culture out there. We have, and YouTube has 114 million active YouTube channels.
yeah,
114 million.
yeah.
Wow.
2,500 videos are uploaded to YouTube every minute.
Wow.
Right? There's 800 million videos on YouTube. If you think you're going to come in and get that one video, fishing video, that's just going to send you through the roof and you're going to be the overnight success,
Yeah,
I got news for you. It's not going to happen,
yeah,
Mhm.
right? And if you're going to think you're going to come in and do a video every month and do this full time in 10 years, I got news for you. It's not going to happen, right?
right,
It used to happen. It's not going to happen anymore.
yeah,
Not
Yeah.
with the landscape it is now, not with how many people, one, want to be content creators. Now, granted, the viewership of YouTube is growing as well, so that's exciting. So there's still room for new content creators. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you come in and you want to grow and you want to grow fast, I'm telling you that I haven't found any better way, like than what I'm doing. Just got to throw it out there. A lot of times you just got to get messy. Sometimes they pop, sometimes they don't, and you
you
just
gotta
got to
keep going.
go for the ride.
Yeah, yeah. Jay,
Yeah.
you were saying your opinion on the views on the or not on your views, but your view on the shorts on.
Yeah, so I don't like doing shorts, man. For me, it's another thing to think about, and it's probably because I didn't fully switch over into that mentality, Darren, that you were saying like this is my part time job. Like I have, but I feel so. I had this career transition early last year, about a year ago actually, where I went working a full time corporate job that I had for many years. Because now I work for myself, doing my own business, which is separate from the YouTube thing. But I feel like I had a lot more time, even though I work from home now. It's crazy. Like I had a lot more time to do all my YouTube stuff when I worked like a standard 9 to 5. So it kind of like for me, it's just like a brain block to get something going. But the reason I don't love shorts too is because the people you're feeding shorts to are not the same people you're feeding the long form to. Generally, there's not a lot of crossover between the two. If you watch, even on your own like viewing habits, if you watch shorts of a specific chances are you don't watch a whole lot of their long form and vice versa. So that's why I don't. I mean, I'll post shorts, but not on any sort of schedule or anything like that. Which is probably why they don't pop off like you know what I mean, like they could, I guess.
Yeah. I'm looking at my stats right now. Last
Yeah.
28 days. And it's the difference between shorts views and video views. Video views, I got 228,000. Shorts views, I have 207,000. And so it's like a 50-50 split. And
Yeah.
that's kind of want to keep it there. I don't want my shorts to go to 90 in my videos because there's a difference between a short viewer and a video viewer, right? Your
For
video viewer
sure.
is going to be much more highly connected with you, right, than shorts. And so,
Mhm.
but I think there's a place for both. I think
Yeah.
shorts used to be really difficult for me to create shorts, and I've just kind of found my thing. Another thing that's interesting, well, we'll get that in a little bit. Well, we'll get that in a little bit. Tease that out there, whatever that cryptic was.
All right. So actually, Brian, this is a good segue real quick. Brian, the Michigan fisherman, says, "Does Wendell have a wife and kids? My wife and kids are the one thing keep me from pulling more effort into my YouTube." So I guess is maybe like besides a yes or no question, maybe some productivity tips that you can give for how you crush it the way you do while having, because I know you have a wife and kids.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
so how do you get it all done while still being like a family man?
Yeah. So, I mean, my wife and I we communicate, right? Um, Typically, I go out on Saturday mornings unless she doesn't need me to. And how I get my competitive edge is that I go out before work, right? I get up at
Mm,
5 a.m. and I go out to my local lakes and I'll be back before work. And so I'll get a lot of my my content before work. So that is and then I'll stay up late and editing videos or on my lunch break. I'll start editing videos or come up with ideas. And so I'm just always doing it in my free time. It's just my thing. And so we've gotten into a rhythm because she has her own YouTube channel as well and she gets it, right? So I help create
mhm.
that time for her. But also in the same breath, my wife, kids, and I went to Gatlinburg this past week. I scheduled all my posts and really tried to stay present with my family as much as I possibly could. And so
Yeah.
it's it is a balance there. But after doing it for 3 years, you kind of figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely going to be a balance because I mean we have that too. Like we all got wife and kids, and I mean even if you didn't want to do the YouTube thing, it's still a balance if you want to be able to do something that's not work and then immediately come home and that's your life for the next 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just tell my wife I'm going to work when I go out for Saturday morning, right? It makes
Yeah.
money now, so she
You're
loves
making
that. She
money.
loves hearing that. And my wife's a saint, by the way. Just to let
Yeah.
everyone know. That really what make this happen. It's not that we just communicate. My wife's freaking awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, my wife too, man. Like she's anytime that there's essentially free time, she kind of already knows that I would potentially want to fish. So she kind of already has things open in her mind. She's always kind of like, "Hey, so what's going on? You plan on fishing or what? Do you? Because if you plan on fishing,
Hmm.
this is what I plan on doing. But if you don't plan on fishing, then we could do this." She always has like both of them kind of set up for me already, which is really nice. Because it lets me decide. And then like on Good Friday, I fished, had a really good experience. And so because I had a good time, caught some decent fish, I was good. I was good for
yeah.
the day. didn't have to try to force it. I wanted to go today a little bit, but with work tomorrow and everything like that, and I didn't want to be too tired for the podcast. Last podcast, I was exhausted. Jay came back from Racetown Lake, and it was, oh man, I was hurt.
No.
Yeah.
Real quick note to that. So we went out to Racetown with our buddy Jake, who he was pre-fishing for a tournament they had this weekend.
That's right.
So we were out there 2 weeks ago, and he actually fished that tournament. And Jake Stem, he's an Old Town Pro staff, and he hit first place on that tournament this week. So congrats to Jake.
Shout out to Jake.
Yeah, he's a hammer, bro. First tournament of the year, cold water, big muddy lake, and he went out there and slayed it, man. He took the lead by over 9 inches.
Oh, that's a clinic.
Second place. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was finding them.
And
so
and he had electronic issues like 2 hours into it, so he went old school fishing, man.
No live scope.
Yeah, no live scope, no nothing. He just set up on the bank and just worked it, man, and made it happen.
Yep. So got another question here from Anthony Laterno, and this one's actually a really good question. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? If so, how do you deal with it?
Oh, like being like
people copying you.
Like somebody copying you?
No. So imposter syndrome, if you're not familiar with imposter syndrome, it's where you feel like you're an imposter in your industry or in your space. So you feel like, man, why am I doing this? There's people that know so much more than me. It's like an internalized thing that you don't belong in your space. You know what I mean? Because other people know more.
No. See, what you got to do is you got to be real with yourself first off. That's the biggest thing. And don't get yourself caught up in any of these potential. First off, understand this. Whether you want it to be or not, or whether you want it to exist or not, there's perception. People are already perceiving you, looking at you a particular way, whether you want them to or not, based on how you look as it is. Mm-hmm. So with that given, you have two things. Either you're going to prove their perception wrong by continuing to just be yourself, or I wouldn't even really know what the next thing is, because at the end of the day, that's just it. You just got to be true to yourself. Be true with the knowledge that you have. If you're trying to get to learn a new technique, bring your people along with you on that ride as you're trying to adjust and get used to that, and tell them you're learning, and tell them you don't know. You go to my shorts now, and people mess with me about the musky stuff, and I'd be real, like, hey man, I'm sorry, where I come from is just like this, and you're right, and I should be doing a little more research, and just take it for what it is, because at the end of the day, people mean well, man. This is one of those communities where people will school you in a good way, right? So yeah, man. Biggest thing I could say is don't let this stuff get to your head, because you're just, you know what I mean? We're nobodies, man. We're just regular folk just trying to fish, make it happen.
Okay.
I got two thoughts on that. One, I don't watch other fishing YouTube channels for the reason that I don't want to subconsciously do what they do, or how they do, say what they say, or shoot videos like they shoot videos. And two, kind of what you said, Juan. We could all three do the same video, same title, right? And one person comes over and watches those three videos, and they would hate my video and Juan's video and love Jay's video because of the vibe, right? Just your vibe, and maybe your faith alignment, maybe just how you communicate, maybe your humor. And since your vibe attracts your tribe, you attract the people that just connect with how you communicate, right? And the things that you like, and the way that, I write this person over on YouTube and they never write me back. When I go write Wendellfishing, he always writes me back. Where do you think they're going to gravitate to? The person they have a relationship with. Yeah. And so just because you might be saying something that 15 other channels are saying, still say it, because your community will never go over there to listen to it, because they don't like that guy, or they don't like that girl. They think they're a tool, or they curse all the time, or they just have a different worldview than I do, or I saw them or heard them or whatever it is.
Yep.
And so don't let that stop you, for sure.
Mhm.
Because what I love about my channel is just like I'm just trying to keep it real. And when I'm learning something, right now I'm learning about batteries, right? There's gonna be a video that comes out on the batteries on Saturday. Probably not gonna be a banger video. I don't care. I created it because that's where I'm at right now in my fishing journey, right? Learning the
Mhm.
ins and outs of lithium batteries, which is kind of fun, and how to utilize those. So it's interesting. So that's how I view it. And so I don't really have imposter syndrome. And I try to create those barriers so I don't do it subconsciously. So
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
Okay. That's good feedback. I will only add, as someone that has dealt with imposter syndrome in the past, and I mean, I still get a good dose of it here and there. Like Juan said, you just my best thing is I just let it go. And even if I feel like I try, so one thing I've learned as just being alive, right, for those last 35 years is just do what you know you have to do. Don't go based on emotions. So even if I feel like this, this video, I don't have authority to speak on the topic, or, I don't belong in this space, I know that it's in here, but it's not the reality. So just discerning, if you're able to pick that apart from being your perception is and what your reality is. The reality is that I have experience in this space. I know what I'm talking about to a decent degree, at least. I mean, it doesn't matter what I'm thinking about up here. I just need to go forward and do it. Like, and that's with anything else. You just push through mentally, and you get through all that stuff.
You know, real quick, I want to add to what you were just saying. Um, just bear with me as I kind of freestyle in this, kind of try to keep my thoughts put together. That kind of makes me think of how I don't know if anybody's ever seen this video with Elon Musk where he's getting interviewed by somebody and he's being asked about the spaceship and has he considered this aspect of it, and Elon's like kind of like and he kind of thinks for a second and he realizes, I haven't considered that. And it was like almost the most obvious thing. And it was never considered because it wasn't looked at from that particular perspective. So don't think that just because you don't have the title. That was the camera guy who gave him that point of view. That gave him that perspective that allowed him to think, oh, okay, you know what? I should consider this. Don't ever think that your point of view or your take on a particular item just because you're talking about something like Wendell said 10 or 15 other people talked about. Don't think that your take or point of view on it isn't considerable or isn't something that um, somebody else can't take with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said
Mhm.
before, everybody's perception is different. You know what I'm saying? So yours is unique to you, and the ability to spread that and transcend that to other people is going to be unique as well. So
Yeah.
And the beauty about fishing is region specific, right? So what someone says who lives in Florida and I say something up here in Ohio, guess who the people north of the Mason-Dixon line is going to listen to, right?
Yeah.
Not the person down in Orlando, Florida, talking about bass fishing, because it's not relevant to the area and the conditions typically they fish. So it's so many factors involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So next question I had here, that someone posted something, and I just started by accident, but it got me thinking about the next question here was, how do new creators stand out in 2024 when there's so many niches that are saturated? They said something about
Niche.
oversaturation in the fishing niche, but how do you stand out in 2024?
Oh man, it is sad. I mean, I can't tell you how many fishing
real
videos
quick,
I see.
I think I could get this one real quick. Just and like I've been saying, and it's probably gonna seem like I've been drilling this now, but just continue to be yourself and find a unique way to find a new thing about yourself that you want to kind of, everybody has that cool little part of them that sometimes they want to keep all shelled up. And like Wendell said earlier, your vibe attracts your tribe. A lot of times when you break into a room, your energy is what introduces yourself, right? So don't be ashamed or don't be afraid to get bold with your energy and whomever you are, and because that's you, and that's what's gonna get you going. That's what's gonna make you pop. And the more you can be yourself, the more you can separate yourself, not be
Mhm.
like. and just separate yourself. So just be observant, see what's out there, and see what you could do, unlike what everybody else is doing. And also try to find the easiest and the most simplest way to do it, because you don't have to overdo it um, in order to make it happen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, boss. I got like 5 thoughts on this.
Yeah, I
How you
wanted to
can
get mine
stand
off.
out. No,
Spill
no,
it.
no, it's good. How you can stand out in 24 with so many, especially in fishing. Um, the number one thing that you have to realize as being a creator is that YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world, owned by the number 1 search engine in the world, right?
Hmm.
So, what do you do with the search engine? You go to Google and you are searching for an answer to a question that you have. And so, to stand out, you're going to have to make videos that help people get what they want.
Yeah.
That's how you succeed in the YouTube game, right? Find out what questions your audience are asking and make those videos and create for yourself a deep library of evergreen content. And so whenever you get the videos out there, these are why videos typically, I know there's some channels that have excelled in this, but for the most part, typically, people don't like watching other people fish on YouTube. Those are my worst performing videos. Like, I'll speak from experience. Keep in mind, I know there's some channels out there that's what they do, but nonetheless, they
Hmm.
don't do that because no one's like, how do I watch someone else fish on YouTube, right? They can go. That's not what they're looking for. They're like, how do I fish the mag draft? How do I fish
Yeah.
the mag draft in muddy water in spring? Right? Those are the questions you have to start asking because those are the videos that typically will pop. So if you're just trying to create trending videos, perfect example of this is when that walleye scandal happened, right? I saw some channels blow up in of like 2 months because all they covered was like cheaters and fishing,
Hmm.
cheaters and walleye, cheaters. And then when you ran out of all the cheaters we've ever caught in the world, they're out of content and they had nothing left. And then when they posted something else, that's not what people signed up for.
Yep.
And so just keep in mind who you're creating content for, and typically how they're finding you is through asking a question. So that's how you're going to stand out in 2024. A couple other
Okay.
things: different is better than better.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Just try to add a different flavor, a different angle to the content you're creating. It doesn't have to be necessarily even better content, right? It's just got to be different content.
Hmm.
I would say don't watch other fishing YouTube channels. That's helped me a whole lot, not
It's
just
true too.
kind of do what others have done.
It's
Two
true.
other things: create videos that are optimized for watch time, right? So keep that in mind in your editing. Um, YouTube and subscribers and all that stuff, in my opinion, is like a vanity metric nowadays because YouTube knows who likes your channel and who doesn't by how long their eyeballs are watching it. And so do your best to optimize that video for watch time. So don't drone on and on. Make sure you're brief, bright, to the point, quick. Make really great points. Move it along because people are going to pop off if you don't.
Yeah.
And then your title and thumbnail game need to be on point, right? I think those are huge. I see a lot of content videos coming out and their thumbnails suck. They might have the best
Hmm.
video behind that thumbnail in in the universe of YouTube, but no one's ever gonna listen to it or watch it because the thumbnail blows and the title is awful. So if you're gonna start anywhere and you're like, hey, how do I get that competitive advantage? Do a lot of research on your title and spend just as much time on your thumbnail than you do actually creating your video, and you'll move the needle.
Yeah. I 100% agree, man.
I agree too, because that's something that I'm gonna start like transition into with my long form videos. Is kind of giving more of just information, any kind of information I can that's fishing related that I've learned that I feel I could, provide a sense of confidence or I could provide confidently. Um, so yeah, just because like you guys are saying, man, people are coming. Not too many channels can accomplish the fishing stuff. Even some of the channels that I used to watch, where I was just watching guys fish, I don't really not really doing too much of that. I'm kind of like doing like this like weird mix of education if I really like the person, I watch their longer form stuff. But other than that,
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get schooled on something new. So
And that's one
Caro,
thing.
what you say? What Caro say just now?
What Kara say?
Can we please close mouths on something? Literally, the thumbnail I put for this podcast is me with my mouth open with the fish in my mouth. She called me out.
Yeah, and there's you see all the thumbnails, and it's just like the guy's like,
oh yeah,
or or whatever.
yeah.
They're
Hey,
all over.
information tells, emotion sells. Whether you like it or not, it works, or people would stop doing it.
Yeah, 100%. Catchy
Well,
thumbnail. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the thumbnail and the title. I mean, those two go hand in hand, and then it has to be the content so they don't switch off. But I 100% agree, Darren, with staying away from like it's hard because it's like fishing videos, right? We get in because we want to fish.
yeah.
But ultimately, people are not searching for somebody fishing that they don't know. So you got to put out information. You got to put out good videos that people are searching for, that offer a solution to a problem, right? Just like any business. But once you have an audience, then they care about you fishing.
Sure.
Like I had one video do better on my fishing videos, and that was the one that I did for the tournament, the championship in Alabama last year, and that maybe I think has 5,000 or 6,000 views, but that's the highest one I have that I do fishing on. View wise, like people just don't go on. They'll go on to see Greg Blanchard, Christine Fisher because they already have established audiences.
Yeah.
Once you have that established audience, then people will be more inclined to watch you fish. But besides that, they're not necessarily trying to see that unless. So the only caveat I'll give to that is if you fish in a really popular lake that gets a lot of hits. So Brian from the Michigan Fishermen and Lucas from the Outdoor Conquest, they both fish Lake St. Clair. And they know how to hit it on the titles so that because people search Lake St. Clair all the time for specific seasons, specific fish. And something like that, but I would say that's not generally the case.
Yeah, and to your point, when you watch Christine Fisher, Greg Blanchard, you're watching those videos, you're coming in preloaded, right? Because you learned all these things that they taught you already, and now you're actually seeing them and how it plays out. And so I can see, since they come in preloaded with all this pre-information that you've already taught them on, they're more likely to watch than how you do it. Like, oh yeah, he's doing exactly what he talked about 16 videos ago when he fishes the mag draft, and boom, he just ripped the lips on the big one. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that was some good info on there. So we're gonna wrap it up in a little bit here, not quite yet, but before we get to the funny or crummy segment, there's a couple good questions too. So given all that information, right? So how you stand out if you were to start right now, 2024, what do you wish you knew then that you know now when you started YouTube that would have maybe done either fast tracked your growth or done it in a different way?
Yeah, it all depends on what you want out of it. So I'm going to speak from, I'm assuming you want to start a YouTube channel because you want to monetize it and be fun to pay off your addiction. And maybe someday, right, if you really have the grind in you, do it full time. That's who I'm speaking to right now. First thing I would say, measured expectations, right? My first year took me a year to get to 1,000 subscribers. The next year popped off more. And then, like I said earlier, whenever I turned it into kind of a part-time job, that's when I've been on up and to the right ever since. And so having those measured expectations, do some research. It's kind of fun. I did this video early on. It didn't do well at all, but the information I kind of created it for me because I was doing some research on how many videos on average does it take for someone to get 1,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers. And that's a sombering, when you find that article, and you will if you search that, that's a sombering amount of videos. When you start doing the backwards math of how many hours it takes you to create a video and how many videos you actually have to put up, you very quickly realize on average, it's going to take you a lifetime, right, to get to some of those macro goals of 1,000,000 subs or whatever it is that you need. So measured expectations out of the gate so you don't crash and burn. is going to be really good for your mindset. I was doing research on a podcast. Guess how long the average podcast lasts?
No clue.
Less than 10
Seven
episodes.
7 episodes.
Mm.
So when you make it to 8, Jay, I'm gonna give you a call, man. Congrats, brother. You
I
were
bet.
above
I'm
the bar
halfway
here.
through after this one.
Yeah, all right. Second thing, I wish I knew, just be patient with yourself, right? It's really hard to see like, oh, that's a banger title. How do I create that? Oh, that's a sick thumbnail. How'd they get that created? Well, they might have got it created through a professional designer, right? I
Mhm.
sometimes get mine done on Fiverr. That titling YouTube videos, it takes quite a bit of time to put your brain in that mindset to create those. It just doesn't come to people naturally. And so be patient with where you are in that particular journey. Because in 3 years now, you're going to be like, oh, those first videos sucked. And you're just doing your best, learning as you went.
Mhm.
Third thing I would say is pace yourself, right? A lot of content creators don't make it that long because they crash and burn because they're too hot out of the gate. So I shared earlier how I like to set milestone goals. So set some goals for yourself. Find out what the realistic expectation or realistic timeline would be for those goals, so you don't burn. You just realize this is average and par for course. And I'm actually maybe a little bit above average, and so
Mhm.
celebrate the small wins there. And so those are some things another big thing I just thought of as well. This is my last one for this question is you gotta have fun
Yeah.
during the process because content creation can be so encompassing,
Yeah.
like, and take all your time and effort that you never actually stop and have fun,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? With people, with fishing, it's always about, hey, what's the next? What's the next? What's the next?
Yeah.
And then you lost the whole reason you're out there.
Yep.
And if you do content creation at the expense of fishing, you did it wrong.
No.
And I want to add to that. So, like, perfect example, this past Friday would have been great content, but I wasn't up for it.
Mm.
I just wanted to fish. I just wanted to get some time out to myself. Not everything has to be about content, right? I brought I don't want to say how much, but I brought an extensive amount of stuff, and I ain't post none of it. Kind of keeping certain things to yourself for the sake of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's good too in this aspect of things, man. Like, when you're ready for it and you have everything charged and you feel good and everything's aligned, go make your content. But don't try to fit a square into a circle, because you're just gonna make everything kind of like for yourself, and then that's gonna come out in your vibe, and it's just not gonna be right. Me and Jay went on a trip together, and it's not that I didn't have my stuff together. I had it together. It's just I needed that trip to kind of get my mind right so that I could be where I need to be on a day-to-day basis. So I didn't do much content shooting on that trip.
Yeah.
Just focused on enjoying myself a little bit. And the other guys were able to do whatever they did, and Jay got some more content out of it. And I would have loved to take the opportunity to do that, but at times I take it for what it is. And yeah, like I said, man, not everything has to be content. Just go out there and enjoy yourself too, and take those times out for yourself as well. And like Wendell was saying, like he had scheduled some stuff and got that situated so that during this time he could, spend some time with the family and stuff like that. And lastly, definitely manage those expectations, man. Kind of go into everything expecting nothing to happen. It's kind of what I do. It's stupid. It's like the Target logo slogan. Expect less, expect more, pay less. But I expect nothing and get more when anything happens. So I just do it for the love of what I like to do. And as I just try to make sure the love's in it. If a little bit of that love ain't in it, you know what I mean, then my vibe's not in it, then myself's not in it. And I don't, and I notice whenever that's right, it turns out right. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I got for that.
No, this is it, because you got we're different content creators, right? So Juan's like, hey, when I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm reading Rick Sitz It's like I'm doing good just to have time to fish, right? Adding content creation, video editing, and such, we're doing the fun into work. And you got me, I'm over here being like, oh, the work is fun, right? Because right now I'm in a season of grind, and I'm having a blast doing the fishing and the content creation and editing. And so everyone different folks, different strokes.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
Just knowing what yours is key, right? Don't try to get into it because you feel like you have to, and then you end up hating them both.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Sure.
where it comes into where you got to be yourself. Because if you try to be someone else, I can't make videos like Darren can make videos, and I won't make videos like Juan makes videos because we're like Darren said, we're different people. Our personalities are going to be different. What we like is going to be different. You know, maybe you do just want to do straight up fishing videos and you don't want to do, you know, look at my insane kayak setup or whatever. Like that's cool. But with those managed expectations, it's gonna be different for everybody. We can't be trying to be like the next guy.
Yeah. They already have a next guy.
KT, was that?
There's already a next guy out there.
Yeah, heck yeah,
But
there is.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
KC Kayak Fishing asks, is there anything you guys don't enjoy about being fishing content creators / YouTubers?
yeah.
Probably just the two things: having to edit sometimes, and then being self-conscious when other people are out and you have to kind of do something and you know somebody's in earshot. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Early on, when I was doing content, I would say this is interesting. This is interesting for me because I don't deal with this anymore. I used to, but once I hit like 30K, people stopped doing this for whatever. I don't know why.
Subs.
But I got a lot of trolls early on. Just people just like
30,000 subs.
yeah. A lot of them. I mean, for whatever reason, they feel like they can pick on you or whatever. Or what it was, maybe it was the videos and they're just usually when your video pops off and goes wild, you start getting a lot of people because you're getting served up to new audiences, so you get a lot more feedback. Not a lot of it is positive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I developed early on a rule, which is don't feed the trolls. And so if you can somehow within your everything that you are,
Yeah.
not write that person back. And I just got to the point where I was like, oh, you obviously aren't right for this community, so I'm just going to ban you. Because there's no need to come in that hot because my community don't want that. That's not the community I wanted to create, and I don't need that in my life. And so I just get it. I delete the comment and I ban you. It's like, that was fun. All that time and effort you took to write it, that zinger of whatever it is you decided to say. Yeah. I just deleted it, wasted all your time, and banned you. So now I believe how YouTube is set up, they don't know they're banned, so they just keep on writing. They can keep writing on your YouTube channel and no one sees it except for them.
Oh, that's
so
wild.
It is wild. Thank you, YouTube. It's kind of fun.
It's cool.
That was funny. Outdoor Conquest, Lucas, shout out to him. He dropped the super chat here, $4.99. Thank you, bro. He said it's for my Easter basket, so appreciate you, bro. He says trolls are a must for growth. If you're not getting trolls, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, it's to the point of you get served to new audiences. Yeah, you're going to get people who don't even fish, right? Get your stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna have people like I have this one video where the person, they caught a bunch of fish on an A rig and it was like 5 fish at one time. They're like poachers. I'm just like, relax.
I'm down.
You know, you look at their profile and they're holding a bunch of cats and stuff, and you realize, okay, they don't know. They don't know. No harm, no foul. You know, you can't like you said, don't feed into it.
Yeah, for real. Let's see. I had another quick question here. Top Shelf Fishing. A couple of people asked this too. What's your go-to editing software, Darren?
Oh, iMovie. It is
iMovie.
So easy, so fast. And here's the thing: like, we're not in tech. We don't have to have these aggressive edits that are super visually appealing. That's not what YouTube fishermen are expecting. And so the bar isn't super high when it comes to editing. I mean, you can go that route and you'll probably have success with it, but that's not like where the bar is. And so I just do real basic iMovie, and I've had luck with it. It just makes it really simple. I can bang out a video and edit a video in probably an hour, an 8-minute video.
Yeah. Okay. I could do. It all depends what kind of video it is for me. If I'm doing a like a countdown video, like where I'm showing off my accessories or something like that, that's easy. You need minimal B-roll. But if I'm doing, like, I've noticed I do specific countdown videos, like listicles they're called, for kayaks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding all the B-roll to plug in and making sure that the B-roll matches what I'm saying in the A-roll. Like, those videos they take me like a good 8 or 9 hours to edit.
Dang.
Yeah, bro. And it's, because if I'm doing like I did a video last year, it was 10 kayaks under $1,000. So I'm talking maybe for 1.5 to 2 minutes for each of these kayaks. I got to download, I got to find maybe 3 or 4 videos to use for B-roll so I can plug it in when I'm talking about it. And that's where it gets time consuming, between finding the videos, because I'll find other YouTube videos and credit them or whatever, and then editing it.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, most of my videos probably do take in that 4 to 6 hour range for editing.
Just for editing. What do you use for your editing software?
I use Premiere Pro.
There you go.
And that's because I use their suite for other stuff, so it might not make sense for everybody, but I use a lot of their Illustrator stuff. So, and I come from a video background. Like, I went to school for it. I worked in the news for a while where I was doing editing, so it's kind of like right alongside what I went to school for. But it's cool they use iMovie. DaVinci Resolve is another one that I hear lots of awesome things about.
I use Adobe Premiere too. Me, unfortunately, like I have like very limited time, so like sometimes it'll take me a few days to edit something because I'll only have maybe 2 hours and 1 hour to dedicate to that in any particular day. And kind of mentally distracted because maybe I'm listening out for the kids or what have you yet, because I still have little ones in the house. So those are, I think that goes along with those managed expectations, right? If you know that you want to have a particular schedule, a release schedule, right? Be on the early side and be anticipant of that, and get your stuff together so you're not trying to cram all this time in and making yourself stressed out because you're like, I'm not dropping within this time frame or whatever, or I'm like, making a bad video because you're not prepping enough time. So
yeah, I will say, if you're just doing shorts, and I'm probably late to the party, but CapCut is really dope for editing shorts. Like, they got a lot of transitions you can plug in that are not on Instagram or whatever else, and you can download it without a watermark. They do have like a pro subscription or whatever. That's a lot. It's maybe $5 a month, so it's not crazy. It's a lot cheaper than some of these other ones, but I mean, it's worth looking into for shorts that I hate. But yeah, no, that's dope, man. Anything else you want to add, Juan or Darren, before we jump on to the next thing here?
Oh, good there.
Okay, so quick question, and feel free to say no, that you're not comfortable with this. When the first year you monetize, the first full year of monetization, how much money did you bring in through YouTube, or like approximately? So maybe just as a little incentive for people to know that, you can actually make some money behind this, with doing like a decent channel. Oh, he's gonna do the math.
No, I'm not doing the math. I have this written upstairs. It keeps me motivated.
Okay.
I have on like a whiteboard. My wife has a channel too. These are going to be kind of combined numbers. It's a smaller channel. She's like 8,000 subs. But the first year I got monetized, I think I made, it was like $1,500. It was crazy. The second year, which would have been 2 years ago, I think I hit 10K.
Dope.
And then this past year, between our two channels, it was 25,000.
There you go.
And so the compound on it was pretty significant. So I'm like, okay, you start doing your math. Oh crap, 5-6 years. And this is just affiliate. This isn't just YouTube. Sorry. I'm putting it all together, my affiliate marketing that we both, I believe, we use Genius Link for, and then ad revenue. That's where I get these numbers. And so, yeah, it's exponential growth year over year for sure.
Yeah. So you're saying this is like your Amazon affiliate and your YouTube AdSense.
Yep, just those two combined.
Okay, that's dope. So my first year, I did. So last year was actually my first year monetized because I got monetized at the end of December 2022.
Okay.
So last year, between my affiliates and YouTube, was around 7,500 bucks.
Hmm.
Which surprised me because I thought it was actually going to be less than that. But the growth is it's exponential, and it same thing with like a subscriber base. So you were saying it took you a year to get to 1,000. It took me a little bit over a year to get to 1,000, but it took me another year to get to 10,000. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It did take a year to get to 2,000. So and that's the way
No.
it is with the income.
Yeah, it pops off. That's for sure.
And
Yeah.
I probably had under 50,000 total views starting off this particular year. And I looked at things from a business aspect this year a little bit differently. And I decided to separate things per quarter. So I came up with a strategy for the beginning of the year, something that I could grow accustomed to and kind of grow comfortable with and gauge my progress and see where that would take me. And that's gotten me from under like 50,000 views up to over 300,000 now and over 500 subscribers when I had maybe like 70 subscribers when I started doing this. Right. So that's in my first 3 months of the year 2024 when I decided to come into 2024 strong. So not to say that I expect, but I do anticipate by mid-year that I should have, God willing, 1,000 subscribers based on the traction that I've already created for myself. Right,
Mhm.
like these guys are saying, it's only going to get better. Right, so if I only continue to get more consistent and I only continue to try to be a little more creative and a little more unique, they could only yield better options, I could assume. That's what I've been seeing. It's been a slow and steady climb. Um, so yeah, yeah.
Okay. Word. Yeah. So that's thanks for sharing that, by the way, Darren. I know some people
No,
don't share that.
it's fun because I think I'm on track for 40K this year. And so
Yeah.
this is what people know. If you put in the time, there is,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
there's a lot
there's
that
reward.
we can talk about this because there's so many ways to make money as and I mean, you're an influencer, bro. I know you hate it. We're influencers.
Content creator.
Content creator, influencers. But there's so
Just
many
content
ways.
creator.
There's so many ways to make money on this, whether it's through affiliate programs like I don't so my biggest ones that pay me are my affiliate programs that are not through Amazon. You know, I make more money on them. But there you can affiliate with a lot of them. You can do sponsorships. You can obviously AdSense. You know, I've done a couple paid sponsorships where companies have paid me to just throw a couple ads out there on YouTube that have worked out well. So there's a lot of ways to
Oh,
what do they say, skin a cat when it
and
comes to this.
getting a good night buddy message here from my little man. It's getting
Oh, heck yeah.
There you go, bro. Do it. But there's a ton of ways to do it, man. So that's what I love about it, and it's surprising to see that people want to watch it, man. I mean, it was surprising for me that like, yo, like these people, these fans, not fans, these viewers started like watching and coming through on a regular, and they like to see what we put out there, you know. And we have, and for the most part, the kayak fishing community is pretty tight knit, man. So
yeah.
like a lot of our viewers will overlap, and they'll know you, and they'll know Chad, and they'll know Hoover and or Fluke Master and me, and you know what I mean. Like it goes on.
I do just want to say, Wendell, man, it's been a pleasure meeting you as well. Just kind of, and Jay, thank you because you've kind of been able to bring me along with your success, and I'm super thankful for that, and kind of giving me a platform as well. So it allows me to, have these kind of great opportunities where otherwise I wouldn't have it, right? And allows me to be present within the community and slowly but surely, make my footprint, man. So I'm just super thankful to have had you on today and just to connect with you like this, man.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Absolutely. So, all right. So, since we got nothing else to add, I think we kind of said it. What we're gonna say. We're gonna do the dad jokes. So we're gonna do the funny or crummy. Is that cool with you guys?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. So I love dad jokes. All my videos, open with some sort of terrible dad joke. And like I said in the intro, like dad jokes, if they're bad, they're good. So I love it. Like you can't go wrong with these things. If it makes my 11-year-old roll her eyes, I know that I've made it.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So this is funny or crummy. We're gonna decide if it's funny or crummy, right? So first one, we got Ray Johnson. Why do fish like worms? They are hooked on them.
Boo.
All right.
That's a
Boo.
good one.
Oh wow, he's actually gonna boo them.
Boo is, see, the thing is, the boo is a compliment because it's so
There you
bad. It's
go.
good because it's like classic dad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Roberto says, "What's a fisherman's favorite story?" Fish tales.
All right.
Boo. I'll boo it again.
Matt
I got
Collins.
one too. I got one too. So I'm gonna come in.
All right.
at the
We'll
end.
do it. We'll do it right
All
after
right.
this one. Matt Collins. How do you know if you're drowning in milk if it's past your eyes?
Oh, that's a good one. That's solid.
You know what's funny because I didn't get it now. I read it early and I was like, "Oh, that's a stupid one. That makes no sense."
Yeah, that's a good one. Well done.
Yeah. There's a couple you got to like read them or you got to like see them, and you know what I mean, like a second time, and then you're like, oh, yeah, those. All right, let's see if Michael Bradley, if two vegetarians get in a fight, is it still a beef? I like that one.
There we go.
Carol Ferg, what do you call a pudgy psychic? A fortune teller.
Oh my gosh. I just had the visual. You got me, Carol. Good one.
That's a good one. All right, last one here. Carol Ferg again. This one's good. I ate a kid's meal at McDonald's today. His mom got mad at me. That's a good one.
I got one for you. You ready?
All right, what's yours?
This is the one I always tell my kids. What's the SEAL's favorite class at school? Art.
That's a good one, man. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna bring that up to my kid, man. That's funny.
There you go. It's a good one for kids to do because they're like, art. It makes you laugh.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, my kid was actually she's 11 now, so she doesn't give me as many dad jokes, but she was my main dad joke supplier. She was my plug. So she would come from school and like tell me these jokes, and I would laugh, and my wife would roll her eyes. You know, but now that she's gonna be a preteen, she's too cool for that.
Well, you get the roll of the eyes. You know, it's really good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Late night hitting different with the dad crowd.
Yes. So someone has another question. I want to bring it up. What was Wendell teasing to talk about earlier?
What was the context of that? I forget now.
I don't know, but I remember you teasing something. You were like, "Oh,
I do too." I just forget what it was about. Yeah, if I said we were going to talk about it later, we might have already talked about it.
What didn't you want to get into just yet?
I don't know, because we talked about shorts. We talked about monetization because those are two things we held off on.
What was your first question? I think it was a little bit after your first or second question. What were your first or second question?
What was the favorite thing about being a YouTube creator? That was the first question. And the biggest obstacles was the second question. And I don't remember either one.
No.
You know, something we didn't talk about, and I know we're coming to the end of our time here, but like all this growth isn't just like us sitting behind a computer trying to do it on our own. Like I use so many different, I don't know what you call them, apps, add-ons that really help accelerate, right? Really, you're trying to reproduce and try to get your time back. And so I use a ton of these. And so if you're wondering like, oh, how do I do the one post, one community post, one video, one podcast, right? I have essentially robots and working for me as well. And so you got to really take advantage of the technology that's out there.
So that was one of my last questions. So what's your favorite resources then to help you become a better content creator?
Yeah, I won't dive in on all of them, but I use ChatGPT, right? Fiverr,
okay,
Google. I'll use YouTube as their search algorithms, right? You start typing in a question, they'll fill it in for you, and they fill it in for you. That's giving you the signal. There's a lot of people out there asking that question. There's your video idea. You should never run out of video ideas.
That's the gem right there.
It is. That's the juice. A lot of people don't even think about it.
Juice. That's the juice.
The vidIQ I use for a lot of kind of my back end analytics.
What is that?
So it is an add-on to YouTube that allows you. Here, you got it. Can I share my screen? I'll just kind of show people what it is.
Yeah, might be able to.
All right, here.
Should give you an option there.
I think on present, if you press present.
Yeah, we'll get over here. Let me see here. I don't know which one it's going to put up here. Here we go. All right, so this is looking at the back-end analytics to my platform. But if you start getting to vidIQ, I don't have vidIQ on this. My bad. Okay. I'm going to stop. So I forgot vidIQ is on a different computer. This is a work computer. But what vidIQ does is essentially it gives you AI ideas, it gets you tag ideas. It's like it'll tell you, just give you a lot more data, right? It helps you make decisions. It's like, I don't know how much it is a month, but you get a free trial. So go over to vidIQ and add it for a free trial and just see if you like it. If you don't, you have to pay for it. But I like it just because I love data. So I use that. I also have Genius Link. It's a way to kind of manage all of your affiliate links. And so you don't have to keep on creating new affiliate links. You just kind of have them all organized in one place, which is really nice. I use StreamYard for my streaming, which is what we're on right now. I just use it for mine as well. I use Opus Pro, which is the robots that kind of edit my podcasts. And I use InShot, which is kind of like a CapCut alternative. So I use a lot of different things to help me create.
Okay. Yeah, and that's there's specific ones I use too. I used TubeBuddy, not vidIQ.
Same thing. Yep.
Same idea. As far as I use a lot of to be a better content creator, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So those resources you mentioned are key. On the other side of it being more like almost like educating yourself on the current trends, what other people are doing, what's working, what's not working. A lot of podcasts. Whether Think Media is probably the primary resource that got me to where I am now. You could Think Media has a channel on YouTube. They also have the Think Media podcast. Recently, I've been listening to a lot from a gentleman named Dusty Porter, who has a podcast called the Creators Hub Podcast. And all he does is interview content creators and influencers in other spaces. So those there's a lot of podcasts that hit the nail on the head with that. Primal Video is another one. Ben Johnson, Creative, a lot of good ones.
Yeah, Think Media. Sean Cannell's freaking sweet.
Yeah, bro.
My guy. That's how I learned how to do my YouTube game. So I used to travel on the road a lot for work, and I'd save all the videos I want to listen to, and I'd just listen to them over and over again. I was like, wow, I feel like I've just next level because it changes so much. And it's their job to keep on track of all those YouTube trends. And then they give it to you like in 8 minutes. You're like, dang, so glad I learned that.
Yeah, heck yeah. So lots of good resources out there for sure.
Yeah, to get with that for sure.
This is fun. I got a couple of questions here.
Okay.
I see one from USA Kayak Fishing, which by the way is going to be on my show on Tuesday. It says, do I edit my own videos? For the most part, yes. I edit mine. All my long form I edit. I don't pay someone. To hire an editor is actually more expensive than you think it would be. I get people literally writing me. You might be like this too, Jay. People write me every day. I want to edit your shorts. I want to edit your long form content into shorts. And I always ask them just for fun, like, how much for a short? And they're like, $35 a short. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not independently wealthy over here. Yeah. So I'll end up editing all my own. Sometimes I'll utilize Opus Pro on my podcast, but I don't think they do a good job because you got to know fishing in order to pull the right content out to actually make that short do well. And a robot, they're just not that good yet.
No. Yeah. Okay. True. So where can you mentioned your show for sure? Where can people find you if they're not already connected with you?
Yeah, anything on the platforms at Wendellfishing. But I also have a Facebook group as well, kind of like yours, called Kayak Fishing Freaks. So if you see that, and the admin on that, and then the podcast is Kayak Fishing Obsessed. So every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, I do a weekly show unless I'm out with the fam. And it's just more of like an interview type of show. I don't try to be an expert in everything. So I try to find those individuals who are like dialed in on a particular, they have a unique, like maybe they work at a kayak store that sells hundreds of kayaks a day. That's the person I want to get in talking about kayaks, right? And so I that's how I try to do the interview style. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure,
That's
man.
where
And
you
I'm
find
not
me.
gonna lie, like so like Juan said, bro, super appreciate you being on here. You know, I got a front row seat to see a lot of your growth because I was looking at your channel when I was, 200 or 300 subscribers, which is nothing really. Like I was looking at, I was finding other content creators in the space, and I was seeing you, man. And I found you when you had 2,000 subscribers, and I feel like within maybe a couple months, bro, it just seemed like you blew up, and you were like at 12 and then 14, 20, you know what I mean? So getting to see how well you did things and how I mean, you did well by what you put out, was cool to watch. So I definitely appreciate you for putting out good content and for linking up with me last year. I mean, you invited me onto your podcast, and that was a good time. So after that, we kind of clicked, and you know what I mean? So definitely appreciate everything that you do for the space, man.
I appreciate that. I
For
really do.
sure.
Thank you for saying that.
Absolutely, man. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Darren, for coming. Juan for coming for sure. Make sure you guys put it on your calendars. April 14th is going to be the next episode of the Yak Chat. We're talking to Impulse Rods about
Oh,
selecting
juicy.
the right rods. Yes.
Some solid rods.
Absolutely, man. Darren knows lots about them because he works with them too. So I'm excited to have Brian come on, and make sure if you don't already follow Darren on his channels at Wendellfishing on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Join the Facebook group too, Kayak Fishing Freaks. Same thing with Juan, man. Find Juan on Instagram, Facebook. All the links are in the show notes and in the description for sure. So again, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on the show, boys. Until next time.
Appreciate
Peace.
it. Have a good Easter.
Peace. Happy Easter, y'all.